Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nerds with Friends. My name is Cody Leach, and I'm joined by Christian Garcia. What's up, man?
What's up?
Coming to you live from 148 Studios in San Francisco, California. We're excited to be back. We'll make sure we get this out of the way in the beginning because we kind of forgot last time, but make sure you check out our sponsor, FNX Fit. Link is in our Instagram and Twitter bios. You click on there, you get 15% off your order of any tasty supplements, protein powder, all that good stuff.
I love the super greens every morning.
Yeah, I like them too. I'm almost out. I need to put in an order for some new ones because I feel like they do make me feel slightly healthier. You know,
It's like, I don't know if I said it last time, but normally in the morning I'll have some caffeine of some sort.
Yeah.
And when I take that, I don't need it. Like, I don't feel like I've
It's
had
not like
caffeine.
you feel jittery,
No.
but you feel like awake and kind of energized.
Yeah, you feel good.
Yeah, so check those out. Super Greens. They got, pre-workout, post-workout, protein powder.
I also ordered the testosterone one. See if there's any difference.
Yeah. I haven't been as on top of those ones like I need to, but I use the sleep ones all the time. I think they're called Relax, and man, they knock me out at night. But they also sometimes they make me sleep through my alarm if I take them too late. So take them early if you're going to take them. But FNX Fit, the link is in our description of our Instagram and Twitter. That's the easiest way. Plus, if you put in the promo code NERDS, you get 15% off. So check it out. All right, let's start with some nerdy confessions, as we always do. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I've mentioned it before. I'm reading the Drizzt novels by R.A. Salvatore, and like any nerd would do when you like something, you do some research. I was trying to see other books he had written, and he wrote Vector Prime, which I guess was the first Star Wars novel in the series of the new Jedi Order.
Oh, okay.
And he killed a character that a lot of people were pissed off about, and a lot of people hate this series and started to hate him. Yeah.
What character? Spoiler alert.
Chewbacca.
Oh.
And I'm not going to lie, as soon as I read that, I was like, fuck, do I want to keep reading these books? Like, dude, he fucking killed Chewie, like, fucking A.
That's not good. Yeah.
It's not good.
Chewie's a fan favorite.
Then I started digging deeper.
Okay.
So it was actually Lucas who wanted one of the characters to die, and he actually gave him a list. These are a list of characters, do not kill. And Chewie just wasn't one of them, so he offed him.
Wow, crazy.
And a lot of people fucking hated him for it.
Was that a comic book or was it an actual novel? Actual novel. Because I remember there was a comic book where I think Chewie died in too, that people were very upset about as well. But yeah, that's got to be tough. I mean, but it does give, now people recognize that book as like, oh, that's where Chewie dies. And,
yeah.
So I mean,
well, a lot of people were pissed. They're saying like, it was a cheap move to try to make the book seem important and try to sell more.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of like, I didn't want anyone to die.
Yeah.
It's like I had certain orders that I had to follow. I had certain freedoms where I'm allowed to do certain things, and then there's certain parts where I have to do. Kind of like how Madeline Rowe had explained to us. Like, there's certain you get.
Madeline Rue.
Rue, sorry. You get certain amount of freedom, but then there's certain things you got to fucking follow.
Yeah, you got to hit certain plot points, and the higher ups want this and that.
So I was like, all right, no, I'm going to continue reading these books or listening to the books. I was like, I'm not going to hate them, but I'm not going to lie. I did have a fucking gut reaction when I read that Chewie had died. Like, it's like, I don't know if I want to.
Yeah, that's tough. He's a fan favorite for sure. Like, and because he doesn't talk, and you only hear. Like, you only get his emotion and stuff through, like, his little, Wookiee roars and stuff. It makes it hurt that much more.
Yeah, and, he responds. I mean, you kind of get what he's saying as how Han would normally respond back to him. So you're like, oh, this is probably what he said.
Yeah. So, that makes it hurt that much more kind of thing. So, interesting. Well, I'll do a book-related nerdy confession as well. So I've been reading a lot of fantasy novels the past couple years now. I read Wheel of Time, which is an epic 14-book series, basically known as like the modern Lord of the Rings. And
sounds like double. I mean,
yeah, it's way more word count than Lord of the Rings for sure, but same like fantasy epic, and and then Stormlight Archive, one of my all-time favorites. I'm getting ready for a new one coming out in November. Mistborn, Skyward, The the Demon Cycle. I've read a bunch of different series, so I just started a new one because it's hard to find. It's hard to find that perfect series where it's like it checks all the boxes, where it's got like a dope magic system, and it's got characters that are interesting, and a story that's like compelling, right? So I found one that I think so far is pretty good, and it's called the Lightbringer series by Brent Weeks, and I just finished the first book and started the second one, and the magic system is all based around light and color. And so basically there's people called drafters who they can see shades of colors, and they can pull in that color into their eyeballs and make this magical substance called luxin. And luxin can be, it can be liquid, it can be solid, it can be gaseous, depending on what color it is. And they all have different properties. So some are flammable, some are sharp, well, not sharp, but like rigid, and you can make weapons out of them. Some are very sturdy and slightly flexible. Some are, when exposed to air, they kind of, combust and things like that. So there's all sorts of cool properties to them. But most people are born, not everyone can draft. And then the next most common thing is people can do like one color, and they can actually only see that one color. So if you're like a green drafter, like you basically see the world in shades of gray and green. And so when you see a source of green, you can suck it out with your eyeballs, basically. But then there's like bichromes and polychromes, which are for people who can do two colors or multiple colors. And then once a generation, there's someone known as a prism who can draft all the colors. And he's like the leader of the magical world kind of thing. So it's pretty cool. It kind of follows several different characters. And then there's like political intrigue. There's people like rising up and rebelling against the prism and everything. And
are there any people that say, I don't see color?
No, they definitely do. There's a lot of racist people in this book. But
second question.
Yeah.
Once they pull a color, is it depleted? Like if you walk around with like a red glove, can you consistently pull?
Yeah. In fact,
so you don't run out.
Right. You don't run out. In fact, a lot of people will wear color tinted spectacles, glasses.
Yeah.
I'm
aware with spectacles.
They call them spectacles in the book, but then I felt stupid calling them spectacles, so I wanted to clarify. They'll have different color ones that they could put on, which tints everything. So, like, if you see a white wall, like it's white right now, but if you put green spectacles on, then green reflects off. There's a bunch of like sciencey stuff that they try to explain how the magic works, which is always kind of interesting. But basically, it's all about light reflection. So if you take green spectacles and look at black, even though inside black there's like all the colors kind of thing, it doesn't reflect any light back at you. So a white wall, though, can reflect any color. So there's a bunch of cool little things. And there's like one kid in the school called the Chromarium. He invented ones that have little tabs on them where he can flip different colors and stuff. He's like the cool little inventor kid. So it's cool so far. And there's like, even in the first book, there's like a big ass twist. You're like, what the fuck? I didn't even realize, about halfway through, you come to this weird realization about where some characters' alliances lie and things like that. But one of the coolest parts about it, I think, is there's these guys called color whites, where basically the more you use your power, the more infused your body gets with that particular color. And the way you can kind of tell is you'll start seeing the color in the person's eyes, and they'll have like a halo around their eye in that color, whatever color they draft the most, kind of thing, right?
So you can tell what kind of junkie they are.
Yes, exactly. You can tell. And then what happens is the eye fills up more and more with that color. Eventually the halo around the iris breaks, and then they start to go crazy, and they start losing control of themselves. And like, depending on what color you're drafting, each one has like an emotion tied with it. Red, obviously, angry, but orange is greed. Green is like wildness and freedom. Blue is logic and things like that. So they'll start going crazy in one of those directions, which is kind of cool. And they're called color whites.
So you can't
pretty cool.
You can't balance yourself out and like try to get rid of the colors from your eye.
Apparently, well, at least not yet. And at least not through book one. No one has figured that out yet. But yeah, there's a lot of cool. And one thing I do like about it, I think that most of the time when I'm thinking about fantasy books or movies or TV shows or whatever, I like a hard magic system. And kind of what I mean by that for anyone who doesn't know is that I like a magic system that has a defined set of limits and a defined, mechanic to it, right?
It's interesting because Star Wars is the opposite.
Correct. No, and I totally agree. But I think one thing that when it comes to something like Star Wars, right? It is a soft magic. The Force itself is a soft magic system.
At least in the beginning, George Lucas tried to do that in what was it?
Well, midichlorians is
and
trying
then
to
people
make it.
Fucking hated that shit.
Yeah, but then also people also flipped out when Rey suddenly knew how to Force heal.
Yeah,
and then Princess Leia could fly through space and be okay. So I think that just points out what a soft magic system doesn't do very well. Lord of the Rings is a soft magic system. Gandalf can seemingly do whatever he needs to do at the time, right? He can catch a moth and whisper it little sweet nothings, and it goes finds the eagles. He can also make his staff glow white, or sometimes that the white light coming off of his staff hurts things. It's one of those things you never really know what's happening. Harry Potter is kind of, I think Harry Potter is kind of a softer magic system, though there are rules where you have to have, say, a wand and you have to be able to say the correct word in the correct way. But at the same time, there's no economy to it, right? You don't run out of the ability to do magic. You don't get tired of it. You don't have to eat more calories to do more magic or anything like that.
So to counter that Stormlight Archive where you need like a power source, and if you run out, then you're fucking done.
Right. Yeah. So you need Stormlight, right, from the little gemstones and things like that. So you suck the light out of there, and the light is magic power, And then once you're done using it, you're out. You can't do any more magic. You can't will yourself to do more.
Yeah.
So in this Lightbringer series, it's definitely closer to a hard magic system. There are specific properties to each of these kinds of color. You can only use them, when you can see it, but the body does, you get tired from doing it. So you can only use it until your body literally gives up and stops doing it. And then you can only use it for a certain amount of time before you literally start to go crazy and, lose your mind kind of thing. So pretty interesting stuff.
I believe you that it's a good book. Mm-hmm. You haven't steered me wrong on books. But hearing it being described, it's seems a little weird. I'm sure if I read it or listen to it, then it's oh, okay, I get it.
Well, I will say this. So where Stormlight Archive, which we talk about a lot on this show, is they tell you exactly how it works for the most part, right? There's Stormlight, you suck that in, and then you can use the power. And then you find out more later as far as different people have different powers, different knights, radiance, things like that. This one, I feel like you really you're discovering it along with certain characters and as things happen in the book. Harry Potter is a good example of where you kind of learn how everything works with Harry Potter, right? He's going to school. He's an outsider going to Hogwarts, and that's how he learns how the magic system works. In this one, there is a character, Kip, who does eventually go to the school, but things happen. So many things happen in the first book that he doesn't even really go into the school until the second book. And so you have this whole one book where you're kind of learning things as you go, and little things are getting explained to this character, Kip, by people like, oh, you're a dumbass. You don't know how Luxon works? Well, here, it's orange is slick, red is flammable, blah, 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 and they kind of go through it. So it's not a book where they really lay it out in front of you. You have to kind of piece things together on your own, which not my favorite way of doing it, but it's interesting. And I think it's a cool world, and there's some really interesting stuff that happens as far as finding out who's actually a good guy and who's actually a bad guy. So a lot of intrigue and, deception and things like that going on. So I would check it out. It's called Lightbringer by Brent Weeks. The first book is called, I think, The Black Prism, I think is what it's called.
Since we're talking about books, isn't the Winds of Winter, the new Game of Thrones book, supposed to come out this month? I think he had made a promise, if it wasn't out by July 29th, 2020
Yeah.
that fans could arrest him.
Well, I mean,
What are we on? The 29th. It should be out today.
should we have to? Hey, did Winds of Winter come out today?
Yeah. I mean, we'll find out when you guys listen.
Yeah.
Because this is going to come out a week later, but.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to hold my breath. That one, and then Doors of Stone, which is the new Patrick Rothfuss King Killer Chronicle book, which we've also been waiting on for 9 years. I'm just, when it comes out, awesome. I'll read it. But I'm not. I'm over. Worrying about it and like being like, oh, when's it gonna come out? I'm just, I've lost interest in it realistically.
I definitely want to listen to the audiobooks, but I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's still the last season of Game of Thrones still stings. How long has it been now? Is it a year?
Yeah, I think it was exactly a year because we were watching the last season when I was in Hawaii last year at Thomas's wedding, and I think he just had a 1-year anniversary.
Yeah, it still stings a year later.
Well, that's one thing that George R. R. Martin says, that his will be different from what the show does, which is both good and bad. I think that if we had just read what had happened through his books, I think it would have been much more easy to accept and easy to swallow kind of thing, because
it was rushed. It was
rushed, and I think that's what made it bad. Like if they were to go back, and do another 10, 15 episodes to fill in all the story that came out of nowhere in the last season of the show.
Maybe one episode of the dragons traveling to go save Jon.
Yeah, or like a couple episodes of Daenerys turning evil.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, well, this starts to make more sense. But yeah, I think it was rushed. And that's one thing that books do really well, is that you have plenty of time to make sure there's foreshadowing, there's motivation, there's all the things that make characters believable, But yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath. And then like the Patrick Rothfuss one, man, every time I watch a stream of him, I get so mad. And I know our friend Satine Phoenix is like friends with him, but I want to tell her, I'm like, dude, tell him to write that fucking book. For those of you who don't know, Patrick Rothfuss wrote the famous, now famous or almost infamous book, Name of the Wind, which is a best-selling fantasy book. Definitely, like, I will say it's one of my favorite books and series of all time. It's really, really, really good. But when he first released the book, all this praise came out. Everyone's like, oh my God, he's the next George R. R. Martin. He's the next J.R. Tolkien. And when they interviewed him, he was like, yeah, it's going to be 3 books long. And I basically have all the books, at least outlined, most of them are written already. So, we should be able to see this come out, pretty regularly until it's finished. Flash forward to now, which is 15 years later or whatever it is. First book came out, then it took like 2 years, and then the second book came out. Normal amount of time. From that second book to this third book, it has been 9, almost 10 years.
First off, Satine's not going to say anything because she's so sweet.
She's very nice.
She's
not
such
gonna
a
say
sweet
anything.
person. She's not going to say anything. Second, I get why he's delaying simply what you just told me. If someone had told me, oh my God, I'm the next Tolkien, I'm like, holy shit, I cannot fuck this up.
Yeah.
I would be terrified of ruining it, and people would be like, oh, this guy's trash. Like, it sounds like there's so much like.
There's a lot of pressure. I first of all, like, I agree. I think there's a lot of pressure, and, to live up to that kind of, standards would be difficult. Here's why I hate him.
You're upset.
No, I hate him. It's fine if he's taken this long. I mean, like, I have not written a book in the 33 years that I've been alive, right? 33, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so. 87? Yeah, 33. You ever do that now? Now I'm just getting to that point where I just don't even know anymore.
It's whatever.
But he is, so not only has he not released the book, which is fine, like, take your time. Art takes time. I get it. But every time someone asks him about it or like asks about his progress, he's like, look, I'll tell you when I'm done. Okay. I'll tell you when I get there, And he had this one interview where he was doing like internet questions, right, from readers. And someone was like, hey, when's Doors of Stone coming out, which is the title of a new book? He's like, look, You think if I had a publication date for Doors of Stone that I would be telling you on a random, question like, ask me anything or whatever it was? It's like, no. If I had a publication date, I would create a blog post and you would all know because you would see it on my website and you would see it in my blog. Like, so just use your fucking brain. Well, yeah, that's what he says. Use your fucking brain. When I have a publication date, I'll do it. Just stop fucking asking. And I'm like, you said this to your fans.
Yeah, to a fan.
You know what I mean? So that's why I'm upset. Is that, like, not only, George R. R. Martin is at least apologetic about it. He's like, look, I realize, I need to do more time. I've taken way too long. I am working on it. And once I get done, I'll release it. I'm sorry it's taking so long, but, I am working on it. That's all you need to say.
See, I feel spoiled with Stephen King and The Dark Tower where, when I picked it up, they were all
when I picked that one up, there was only like 2 books left. So, or maybe just 1 book, actually. It might have just been the last one.
In fact, when I started the series and when I was about to finish it, it was like 4.5 came out, Wins Through the Keyhole. So,
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh.
Which I still haven't finished. I have it. I actually have 2 copies of it. Someone else got it for me. But
it's good. It was nice. I guess I won't say, I don't want to ruin for anyone who's going to pick up this, but it was nice visiting old friends, I'll say. Like, these characters that you go through this long trek with, so it was kind of nice.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, that's why I hate Patrick Rothfuss. I just think he's kind of a dick. And he's very full of himself when it comes to that. And I get it, man. Like, I'm sure you're tired of people asking you about the book. But remember, you were the one who said that you had everything pretty much written already, right?
He's talking out of his ass.
Yeah, he's talking out of his ass, which is fine. Just be like, look, I have an idea for how it is. I just haven't, I'm not happy with it yet.
Are you still going to read it?
I'm still going to read it, yeah. I'm going to get that
I hate this guy.
I'm going to get it the fucking day it comes out. I just reread the first 2. I love his books, but he's an asshole.
Isn't that interesting how, like, you can love the work but hate the artist?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's really hard.
It's like Tom Cruise. Like Tom Cruise movies, but he's kind of a weird fucking guy.
Yeah, he's a weird fucking dude for sure, but I fucking love Tom Cruise movies.
Yeah, I mean...
And, and like Louis C.K., he's obviously a terrible person. But man, some of those fucking comedy specials were hilarious. They have a weird feel to them now.
I have a weird sense with Louis C.K. where it's like, I feel like he was basically telling us who he was this whole time. He has so many masturbation jokes.
I know. Yeah, going back and listening to him, you're like, oh.
And I'm not okaying anything he did. Right. But it's kind of like he was like, I mean, the evidence was there.
We shouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah,
like Bill Cosby, still surprising.
Oh yeah, dude, he didn't let people curse. He hated when people cursed. Yet he was fine roofing women and what kind of fucking weirdo is that?
That one's a surprise. Louis C.K. is one of those ones where it's like, oh, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Even Crystalia, I'm like, kind of makes sense.
Look at him.
Yeah, look at him. Guy doesn't drink or do drugs. He's a weirdo. Oh man! All right. Well, yeah. Check out Lightbringer or Name of the Wind. I just be prepared to be disappointed with Name of the Wind once you're done. You're like, I want this epic story, and
Cody just wants people to suffer with him.
Yeah, just together in misery. So we're going to talk a little bit about the new PlayStation 4 game, Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima. We talked a little bit about it last week. We didn't want to go too far into it because we had our guest, Joe, with us.
Who hadn't played it yet. We didn't want to ruin things for him. And we don't want to ruin things for you. So this will be there'll be some light spoilers for I was
plot.
going to go hard spoilers, but if we go light.
Yeah, we can go. Have you finished the whole game yet?
I haven't finished. Did you finish it?
No.
Okay.
I'm on Act 3, though.
I could be at Act 3, but I'm doing all the side missions.
Yeah, I gave up on some of those because I wasn't getting enough from them. But we'll go into some detail. We'll start broad and then we'll narrow it down and give you a spoiler warning. And then, but like we said last week, it's definitely a game that I think everyone should play. If you have a PS4, it's 100% worth it to get it. It's basically like playing Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto, but you're a freaking samurai.
Or ninja.
Or a ninja, kind of. A samurai with ninja tendencies.
Kind of how you want to play.
Yeah, exactly. And I will say, first of all, the game is absolutely stunning.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It is. If you have a like decent TV and decent headphones, there are times where like I almost feel like I'm in the scene. Like that's how gorgeous the game is. Like it makes me miss being in nature. Like that's how beautiful the game is.
Yeah, I'm like, and then I look outside at my ugly street that I live on. I'm like, ugh, gross. Where are these beautiful red maple leaves falling down, and or fireflies on the grass and stuff?
There's so much in the game, and
smoke in the distance that you go up to, and it's a burning village or something.
There's little frogs hopping around in the mud. Like there's so many details that you can miss if you're not paying attention. And I think you said this last time. It's like there's like no loading time.
Very little. Though I did notice some the other day, but on stupid stuff. Like when I'm looking at my different, you can, a couple of the cool like cosmetic things you can do different headbands, masks.
I noticed
sword things.
If you want to change the color, it kind of takes forever.
It takes forever to change the thing.
Which was, if there was gonna be an issue, like I don't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
I'm fine if that's like the main loading times. But like when you're changing like swords or whatever, it's like load, and then it pops up.
There was a couple of times I was like, did my game freeze? And then I'll move it. I'm like, oh no, it's just taking forever.
Yeah.
But whatever, I don't give a shit about that.
Yeah, for some reason they didn't think that one through. But besides that, but I mean, going from place to place and mission to mission, very low load times. I was very impressed, especially considering this is the end of the PlayStation 4's lifespan. You know what I mean? So you would think like Last of Us had quite a few long load screens when you're starting up a new mission or you die or
I'd even go as far to say Ghost of Tsushima looks better.
It does.
Than
I'd say when you do close-ups on the face, I think Last of Us is a little bit better just for facial expression than mocap or whatever. But I will say I think overall from a environment and character and particle effects, I think that Ghost of Tsushima is far, far better.
And I don't know if they did this, but I feel like when they were doing the motion cap for Khan, I forget his name because he's actually not.
It wasn't Benedict Wong who I thought it was.
No.
It was someone Irish sounding.
Yeah.
Remember?
And so when he moves, you can see there's weight to his outfit, like the way it moves. Like it's not like when you watch a movie
it
and like
seems like it's not a guy wearing a skin tight Under Armour thing. It feels like he's got big furs and armor.
And well, if you look at the bottom when he moves, like the way it moves, you could tell it has some weight. Like it's not just moving like you could tell. I mean, it's hard to describe, but like when you're watching a CG movie and you watch these big hulking characters land on something, it's like, oh, they didn't make an indent on the ground or like, it looks like he's made out of like paper.
They're moving unencumbered and
but this guy, you could tell there's some weight to him. And I've noticed that even on the characters you fight, the villains, like they did a great job with the armor and everything looks like it actually has some like gravity.
The physics seem really good. When you're shooting arrows and stuff, they don't just go on forever.
Yeah, they
curve
arc,
and they arc and stuff like that. And when you're jumping off of, I don't know if you've had this, but if you jump off of something high, like
you get hurt,
like one of those. Yeah, like you get hurt, but not. Do you ever have that thing where if you're jumping high and it's too high and you realize halfway down, you get that falling sensation in your own chest? You're like, ugh, like your nuts suck up into your body to protect themselves. I've had that where I went to jump off of a lighthouse and there's a grappling hook. Have you got that grappling hook?
Yeah, the grappling hook, yeah.
So like one of the cool things I like doing is like jumping out a window and then grappling hook behind me to like
you miss
Batman. I missed the little R2 button doesn't pop up, or I'm like, no. So halfway down, I get this thing where your whole body clenches up, and you're like, ugh.
And you're waiting for the impact,
bracing for impact. Yeah, and so it's a good game when it makes you feel like that.
I've definitely where I didn't realize something was too high, and I'm on I named my horse Kage, and I'm on Kage, and I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna get hurt, and like I got fucking terrible. Like, dude, I was like, if I kill Kage, I'm gonna fucking hate myself forever. And then, luckily enough, like he didn't. He gets up. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, I definitely chopped him with my katana one time when I was like going after bad guys, and he was just standing there. I was just like, woof. And he was like, I'm like, oh, sorry, buddy. Yeah, it's definitely very realistic when it comes to a lot of things. Plus, there's things like the environment is just so beautiful to like go through, and there's all sorts of little secret things. We talked about it briefly how there's no compass in the game.
Yeah. You
It
just use the wind.
keeps it very immersive, right? Rather than having a little arrow pointing you to the next mission or whatever, the literal wind in the game points you in that direction. So it blows and it moves the environment around you. So, you have to look at the grass and the trees and stuff, or the leaves falling through the air, to find your next, mission or quest or whatever.
I will say I always feel bad when I have to kill an animal.
Yeah.
But it's like, all right, well, because if you want to upgrade your some of your ammo, you need animal hide. And I'm like, oh, man, that bear's just chilling, man. Like, he's not bothering me. And in fact, you see them, like, fighting Mongols. I'm like, I should be thanking that bear.
Yeah.
Thanks, bear.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
Yeah, I'm either like, thanks, bear, or thanks, Mongols. I just murder whoever won.
I've never seen the Mongols win. I've always seen the bear just win.
I've had it happen a couple times. The Mongols kill them. I'm like, dead Mongols, get their stuff and get the bear stuff, and then the Mongol dogs too. You can kill.
I don't like killing dogs, man. I didn't like doing it in Last of Us. I don't like doing it here.
I like how they're like they're the
what are the mastiffs? I think.
Yeah, they're like Tibetan mountain mastiffs or
They're
whatever
huge.
they're called. They're big fluff balls.
Yeah.
But they're so angry all the time when they want to
They hate Japanese people.
They're such racist dogs. Yeah, you got to take those guys out for sure. I just throw kunai knives at them.
Oh, does that work?
Yeah, totally.
Nice.
Especially once you upgrade those things will take out anything. There's hawks later too, Mongol hawks.
I've seen them. I haven't done anything to them.
Yeah,
I'm not going to try to track one in the air.
Yeah, sometimes they spot you and they alert all the other Mongols to you. So I just throw kunais up at them.
Well, then they know where you are anyway.
Nope, no, they're cool. If you do it sly enough, they don't notice. Where'd the hawk go? I don't know. He's off fucking around with a rabbit or something. I will say, like, the armor that you get is all very cool. Like, if you're a big fan of samurai movies or samurai anime, there's a little something for everyone in there. There's several full-on pieces of samurai armor with dope-ass, like, helmets with, like, big old horns on them, little crescent moons, and the little flappy deals coming off the helmets. And as you, like, upgrade your armor, it changes appearance, which is really cool, too. And then there's also, like, the Ronin outfit.
I hated that one.
Yeah?
Because everyone else, all the Straw Hat Samurais had very, very cool, like, outfits. And particularly Ryoku?
Ryoko, yeah.
And I was like, dude, his is dope. And he's like, oh, I got one for you. And because you're going on a mission. And it's like, that's a shite arm. Like, dude, that looks like crap compared to everyone else. It's like, why do I get the crap one?
Well, one thing with that one is when you change colors, it actually changes material, too.
Okay.
So if you do, there's a customization thing where you can do armor dyes, and if you change it to say red, it's not just red of the same exact cloth. You'll get different patterns and stuff on it. So you can make some pretty cool stuff, and then you have to pair it with a good looking hat. Like that red straw hat I got is pretty dope. I like that one a lot.
Fuck the Straw Hat Samurai. Or the straw.
Yeah, fuck those guys for sure.
Fuck them.
All right, here we're going to, now that we've kind of told you our broad opinion, we'll get into some little spoilers. We still haven't finished the game, so don't worry about that. It's not going to finish the ending because we don't know the ending yet, though I have some ideas. But we will tell you a few little plot points. So a little spoiler alert for you guys.
I wanted to like him so much.
Ryoku?
Ryuku. Because
Whatever.
there's parts in the game where you can choose the dialogue. You can sometimes you can say something mean or like something rude, or you can say something nice. And like when he didn't show up on the first act, I defended him. I was just like,
me too. I defended you.
Yeah, I was just like, well,
so this character is the leader of the Straw Hat Ronin, which Ronin are samurais with no master, so they're not the ones who work for the warlord. They're like mercenaries basically, and he's a childhood friend of the main character, Jin. And they had always kind of grown up together, but Jin came from a very wealthy family, son of a samurai and nephew to the warlord. And then Ryoko, I forget. It's Ryuko, but Ryuko, that's what it is. He, did not come from a wealthy family, so but they trained together. So they constantly like grew up together and battled each other.
And there's a tournament.
And there's a tournament
where he could have, if he had won, he would have gone on to become a samurai.
Right.
And of course, it was them two at the last battle.
Yep.
And Jin, not wanting to disappoint his uncle, fought very fierce, and he won.
Yeah.
Apparently, Ryoku had some feelings about it.
Yeah, exactly. And so he ends up betraying you and working for the Mongols. And he does some terrible things. Like he lights some people on fire.
Yeah. His own people.
And you can see, like, obviously he's very distraught by it. But at the same time, he still does it. And he did it voluntarily. So, he's a real son of a bitch.
Well, I mean, if you think about all his allies, they're all not great people. Masako, like...
She murders a lot of people, for sure.
Murders a lot of people. Some people, like they needed evidence from these people, and because she's so pissed off, she
just chops their head off.
And it's like, yo...
She's a badass bitch, for sure.
But it's like, yo, also, like, everyone she loved and, like, cared for betrayed her. I'm like, dude, either you're a shit person or you only surrounded yourself with shit people. Like,
well, her whole family got murdered, but, like, she got betrayed by
like handmaidens, friends, and fucking like old samurai that she hired. Like, dude, everyone she had around, it was a piece of shit person.
Yeah.
And I've always had a gut feeling. I was like, I don't know if I trust her. And then I just got to the part. I don't know if you got into it. Have you finished all her missions?
No.
Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna.
There's some stuff that she has a dark past.
There's some fucking shit, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and that's.
But that's how great the game is. Like, there's so much story. There's even mini stories. Like, I guess we were talking about. You didn't even do. I'm taking forever because I'm doing a lot of the side missions.
Yeah, I did a lot of them in the beginning, but then I kind of stopped after I saw like they don't give you very much reputation or experience, and I'm like, and then I started going after. I really went after all the mythical techniques.
So I have
Heavenly Strike.
The Heavenly Strike, and then the second one. He does a bunch of quick little movements.
Yeah, I forgot what that was.
It takes
called.
three of the whatchamacallits.
The resolve points.
The resolve
yeah,
C's.
yeah.
I forgot the name of that. And I have the Archer's Armor, which I was a little disappointed in.
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, and I have the Archer's Bow.
Yeah. The longbow. Yeah.
So right now I'm doing the 6 Ronin that you have to fight.
Yeah, I just finished that one. You get some cool looking armor. Yeah, it's actually okay looking armor, but it has some interesting perks. The best armor, though, is the... Clan Sakai armor is really cool.
I like their logo. It's really dope.
Yeah. And he's got it on the little sword and stuff. Yeah. But that one, once you upgrade it, you can increase your showdown. And the showdown is basically if you come up to a group of bad guys and they don't see you, you can basically challenge them. My dad's calling me. I'll have to call him back. He's working on selling my car today.
Oh, probably sold it.
Nice.
So you can do the standoff where you challenge the strongest one.
Come and face me. And you have to you're both leveled with your swords, right? And then you have when the other guy goes to attack you, you have to cut him underneath kind of thing. But he'll try to fake you out and stuff.
That's what I found very interesting. So I love that as you progress in the game and you get stronger, so do the enemies.
Yes.
Because before they didn't fake, and they got me. They start pump faking a couple times.
Exactly.
Oh shit, man, I fucked up.
And then it was they only pump fake once, then they really come in. Then they'll pump fake twice, or they won't pump fake at all.
And just move. Yeah.
So you really have to be into it. And what's cool about the Sakai armor is that when you upgrade it, you can get an additional 2 kills on that streak.
Oh, so instead of 3, you can get 5.
5. And then I don't know if you've gotten this yet, but there's a technique called the Demon Stance.
No, not yet.
Which is, it's a fun time. But basically one of the qualifiers to use it is you have to kill so many enemies without taking damage. And so by using that showdown mechanic and getting 5 kills right off the bat, with a chance to terrify the enemies where they'll basically fall down on the ground and try to crawl away from you. You can get that demon stance ability much faster, which is really cool. I will say, what are some of your complaints about the game? I mean, I don't have many.
That's one of the things I was trying to think, is I felt like you were going to ask me. I really don't have one. I thought I was going to hate the blowgun just because it And it was actually very
I
interesting.
still haven't really used it that much. I got it, but then I always forget that I have it.
So you haven't used it at all?
I've used it like twice.
Okay, so what I loved is like when I got it, I'm like, I don't necessarily agree a lot with the uncle because the uncle is very much traditional, have to do samurai. He hates that he's been, Jin has been going around and stabbing people in the back.
It comes to some tension later on.
And it's like, well, this way of fighting is not like the traditional, like with honor,
right,
face to face. It's not going to work against this enemy because that's not the way they're fighting.
Right.
That would work samurai versus samurai.
Right.
So Jin is adapting, and he has to change in order to succeed. So, and I agree with Jin with a lot of his actions. I'm like, makes sense.
Yeah.
When I got the blowgun, that was when I was like, it feels kind of
feels
cowardly.
A little dirty.
It feels a little dirty. Even when his caretaker tells him she was using it for rats, and he's like, "Good, make it stronger." And I'm like, "Holy shit,
we have a big rat problem here in Tsushima."
So what I loved about it, the first time I used it, as soon as you hit someone with it, it triggers a memory with your uncle.
Oh,
where it's like
nice.
He starts talking about like how
assassins are
and like in cowards, and I was like, holy shit! And that was like a cool little thing.
I really did like how they were doing that, and then they kind of stopped halfway through. Like you didn't get as many of those, but I like where it'll stop the middle of what you're doing, the middle of a mission, and do this flashback where you're learning things from your uncle and stuff. But yeah, I think it's an interesting story where, obviously the uncle is all about honor and doing it the samurai way, right? Where the samurai way is, calling out to your, and challenging your opponents. You each send your best swordsmen together, and which you see at the beginning of the game. They send their best swordsmen out to fight the best swordsmen of the Mongols and settle it that way. But then the Mongols just light that guy on fire and just slaughter all the samurais. Yeah. So, Jin is doing whatever it takes to save his people and save his country, and the uncle can't come to terms with that, which is leading to some tension in the story where I am. Some very bad things happen because of it.
And there's also the whole class system. Like like the uncle has a big beef with Yuna, who saved his nephew's life. The nephew went and saved the uncle, and it's like, you strictly don't like her because of her, like, she is a peasant. Like, she's not a noble. Like,
right.
That's your biggest beef? Like, dude, like, get over it. Like, everything has been succeeding because literally she started it. So it's like,
she literally saved Jin right at the beginning, and the whole story, the only reason any of this is successful is because of her saving him and helping him. Yeah, so...
there's so many dynamics in the game, the whole class system. What's right, what's wrong, like...
Right.
Like, I get where the uncle's coming from. Like, if we do it this way, it's like we're losing our soul. But it's like, well, at the cost of what? Thousands of people's lives? Like, all these peasants are going to fucking die?
Yeah. And you see that. Like, there's levels in the game where you literally, if you try to go in there, like the uncle would want, and challenge the enemies and just fight them.
Yeah, people are going to die.
Yeah.
Innocent people are going to die.
Yeah. Or you as the player is going to die very quickly because there's just too many Mongols and not enough samurai, right? So you have to learn a new way of doing things. Now, I don't think the story is going to go in this direction because this is based off of actual things that happened in history. Though the whole ghost thing, I don't know if that's a real thing, but the Mongols did invade the islands of Tsushima, which are the southern territories of Japan. And they were, in the end thwarted, and they went back to Mongolia and Korea and all that stuff. But I think it would be really cool from a narrative standpoint if Jin goes off and creates like the ninjas, which I don't think is actually going to happen.
That's at least that's where I feel the game is going.
Like I feel like there's definitely aspects of that. Like I would love if he gets approached by ninjas at the end and they're like, we've been watching you or whatever, you should come join us. I think that would be really cool. But I think too much of it is based in history for them to really, really lean too hard into the ninjas. But he's definitely acting like a ninja for sure.
Absolutely. Well, you have options. I mean, you can...
Yeah, you can just go in, sword swinging every single time, but you can also be really tricky and go on tight wires and use smoke bombs. And I love the smoke bombs.
Oh, the smoke bombs are great.
Yeah. So here's a couple of my complaints, because I know you didn't have...
I thought of one after, so...
Okay. one of my main complaints is you talk to a lot of NPCs throughout this game, right? Which is fine. I mean, every game this big is going to have it. I hate how, first of all, there's no way to skip when you realize that they're not telling you something important. They're just like, oh, yeah, you should follow the golden birds. They'll lead you to secrets throughout the island. I'm like, I've heard this 50 times so far, but it won't let you skip it, you know? So I do wish that they had that built in. You just hit circle or something and you could skip past it. And another thing I wish is that I wish there were more customizable options because I feel like the amount of dyes and colors and things like that they give you just doesn't feel like there's enough. Like so far I've only gotten like 3 for one kind of armor. And they don't seem to unlock very fast. I thought that would have been an easy thing for them to add more of.
And if you think about complaints, it's not a fucking. They're
It's,
not big.
it's not a big deal. Like, oh, I have to sit through a little bit longer of an NPC talking. Who cares?
So the mini complaint I had is when you they're not showdowns like when you or the standoffs where you chop a bunch of people. There are times where you fight certain characters one-on-one.
Yes, a duel.
The duel.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're very heavily sided on the villain.
Yes.
Even like
both from a health standpoint and like a mechanics standpoint.
And like how they regenerate their blocking back. In particular, like when I'm like I started you fight 6 Ronin samurai.
Yes.
And the first one was giving me such a hard time. I was like, dude, this guy, like, he's a low level Ronin samurai. Like he should not, like, compared to Jin, who's like a higher and had lifetime of training. This should be a lot easier. So to fix it, I just started using all my technique points for the I forgot what the sword versus sword stance is. I don't know if it's stone.
Oh, stone stance.
Yeah, so now that I've upgraded that, now it feels a little bit more balanced. But now I feel like it's a little bit unequal where, like, for spear, shield, and the heavy guys, I've been ignoring those. So it's like, that's the one complaint, which I feel is going to screw me over when I have to fight if there's a duel against Khan, because I don't know which one he is. Because he's definitely a heavier guy, and he definitely uses a spear.
Yeah, I know.
So, like, if that battle comes, like, I don't know if I'm not going to be equipped for it.
That's one thing, too, is most of those duels you do are just sword on sword. Though I have done one, I think, against a guy with a shield. Most of the time, you're doing it against other samurai, though, when you're doing that. So it will be interesting to see how much those other stances really take effect. But I think you're right. Like, those... I definitely gotten frustrated with because it's one of those things where it's like, man, I feel like I blocked in time, or I feel like, they'll do these little things, kind of like if you guys ever played the Arkham Asylum games where there'll be a little flash above them, a little light or something to signify that they're about to attack. Yeah, and it's time to dodge or block or what have you. And so red ones are unblockable.
Unblockable, you just got to dodge.
So you got to dodge, right?
But that's the other frustration because I've upgraded where you can block blue, but you can't block all the blues, which is fucking weird.
Right, exactly. And so you can upgrade it so you can parry these blue flashes or white, bluish white, which is cool. But then sometimes when you're doing those duels, it doesn't work. It won't,
yeah.
Or they'll do 2 of those in a row and you block one, but even though you're still holding block or trying to hit block, the timing's off or whatever, and it stabs you. And they take a lot of health off.
A fucking lot.
So,
and I feel like I'm very good at the perfect parry when it's Mongols.
Yeah.
And so yet when it's the duel, I can barely pull one
off.
100%.
The game mechanics, I think, change a little bit too much.
It's. I feel like it's way, and I get it. They want to make it more dramatic, but it's a little bit. I feel too favored on the villain.
Yes, I think you're right on that too. I'd like to see that a little bit more polished off in like a patch notes or something like that to come out, because I think that it takes away from this epic showdown. They start this long cinematic. Another one I wish we could kind of skip because every single time with the thumb.
Although I will say it's very satisfying to hear it.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah, it's amazing. And I have taken to putting the game into Kurosawa mode each time I do a duel because it fucking looks awesome.
I figured I would beat the game. This is how much I love the game, and I know I'm going to replay it. I figured I'd beat the game like this and then go back and do it Kurosawa in Japanese.
Next time, just on your next duel, just switch it into Kurosawa mode. You can do it right as you start the thing, and it's amazing looking.
All right.
Next swordsman, Ronin guy you face. But yeah, I think that could have been polished off a little bit more, just because it's supposed to feel like this epic battle where like you're just pairing everything right, and it doesn't lend itself very well to it. I get killed 2-3 times sometimes
Yeah.
on some of the harder guys. But yeah, and then the blue ones, like not being able to parry them sometimes, but being able to the other times.
Have you upgraded almost everything on the swords?
On that one, I think I have. I think
Yeah,
I've got one more to do on it.
Then it feels a little bit more balanced because
Yeah.
once you get the harder triangle, then you can knock off their blocks a little bit faster.
I will say this one thing that screwed me up too. I wish I hadn't done this. Is I've upgraded the dodge, so if you hit dodge twice, you roll.
Yeah,
and for these things, it makes you too far away
where
to
you
come
can't
back.
counter.
And it's
Yeah.
like sometimes I don't feel myself hitting the button twice, but he still rolls anyway.
It does help when you're against a bunch of Mongols. You're like, shit, I need to get away fast.
Yeah. And I wish you could equip techniques and unequip them. Make them.
I agree.
Play
I forgot
the way
about
you
that.
want
I
it.
had that earlier. Where fuck, if I didn't roll and I
I'd be
counter.
there for a counter attack. Exactly. So, but I mean, obviously we're kind of nitpicking on
No.
some of these things. The game's amazing.
The game's fucking amazing. I mean, the little. Maybe we made them sound bigger than they are, but the little critiques, it
for 90% of the time, I'm just sitting there, just in a fantasy world that I'm 100% enjoying.
Yeah,
it's just those every once in a while where I'm like, I'm trying to do a specific quest line, and I'm like, God, I wish this fucking bitch would stop talking about her family. I get it; they were slaughtered by the Mongols, but like, if you're not going to give me a mission, then get fucked.
A lot of families are slaughtered by Mongols.
Yeah,
right?
God, if I had a nickel for every family that was slaughtered by Mongols, I mean, I could buy myself out of this mess. But I think for the most part, like just exploring around is awesome. I really enjoy the just walking around. Like I won't even ride the horse half the time when I'm going through a new area.
Oh,
I'll just be running around and like jumping up in trees and on rocks and stuff. It's really fun. Another slight complaint, which I mean, it's a very small thing, but I wish there were more interesting secret things to find. And I say that because there are cool things like the little fox dens where you find the little shrines, the shrines themselves where you go up. It's like a puzzle and go up. I love those. Those are really fun. Every time I find a new one, are really cool.
I just wish sometimes there was for one they had one where you can get down really fast.
Yeah, most of them do that.
There was I feel like I found two where I'm like, wait, I have to do that again? That was hella hard getting up here. So normally, if you fast travel.
If you go, yeah, you can do that. If you go to the gate that's right by the little shrine, it'll normally say, descend the shrine or whatever. But I will say, I love in a game where you come across something, you're like, ooh, this is a fucking secret. Like, this is a cool, like Breath of the Wild, I feel like did that really well.
It's interesting that you brought that up because I wish that I had the little gliding thing from Breath of the Wild.
Yes, I wish I had that too.
So I'd be on top of a shrine, I was like, I'd be fucking epic to just glide off
sick
of
as
the
fuck, just hang glide off of it or parachute or whatever. Yeah, that would be cool. But I wish there were more little fun secret things to find. Like for instance, I forget I found some weird building, right? And I go inside there, and it was kind of tricky to get inside. You had to like climb up to the top and then drop down to the bottom or something. It wasn't very straightforward. And when you get inside, there's like a table with 1 million supplies on it, like a bunch of iron, and you have to get resources to upgrade your weapons and talents and stuff. And so there's just a bunch of it. And I felt really accomplished when I got inside and I found this cool reward. But most of the times when you're like, ooh, this is a fucking cool thing that I'm climbing up. Like, I can't wait to get to the top. And there's a lot of times there's nothing up there or something, it's like one little thing of supplies. And it's like, oh, that's like $10 worth of stuff. So I just wish there was more like really cool, interesting secrets that you could just stumble upon. The little bird didn't lead you there, but if you explored enough, you could really find it.
That happened to me where it was kind of the opposite, where I found a shrine where there was a bunch of petals everywhere, and I was like, oh, this looks fucking cool and important. I was looking around, I'm like, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
There's nothing here. I was like, it took me forever to get here, and I was like, what? This sucks. But it turns out it was actually one of the mythic
Oh yeah. Oh, the purple one.
Yeah.
Yes, I stumbled into that one too.
And I was like, what? There's nothing here?
I know, that's what I'm talking about.
And then, but then it ended up...
And that's one thing that's interesting about this game is like you'll come up to certain areas and you're like, dude, this has to be important. And then it's just you have to start a quest line and then that area will
You have to
populate.
speak to that monk who tells you the story first,
Yes.
and then you follow to it.
Right.
But
I would prefer if you had gotten there and that lady was there and you just challenged her, you're like, what the fuck is this? Why am I challenging? And that starts the mission. I think that would be so much more fun. And you're like, oh fuck, I just stumbled upon this cool meadow that's filled with these purple flowers. And there's this Ronin lady who wants to challenge me to a duel. I like that more than just like, oh, talk to this random guy at this town. He knows about this mythic,
I will say,
technique.
though, when he's telling the story and the ink drawings,
Yes.
those are pretty fucking cool.
They are cool, and I think that's cool. I just wish there was more ways of entering that quest. I like to be able to stumble upon fun things. But overall, I mean, it's a fantastic game. And it's in these open world games, oftentimes I feel like I'm running out of like patience and like I'm running out of like interest in it. It's like, oh God, I'm going to have to deliver another letter or whatever. This game, I really haven't felt that.
Yeah.
There's always something new and interesting to do. And then you could go back into a main story mission and then like, someone betrays you. You're like, oh fuck. And now that changes the dynamics of the game and stuff. So.
I didn't want to do one of the gold missions are the one that progress the story. They really up your
on the map, the gold color.
And it really ups your status. And I accidentally stumbled and triggered one. I'm like, no, because I was like in the middle of doing another one. And I was lucky enough where I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and I just left, and it untriggered it. I was like, oh, nice. So I wasn't forced to only do that one thing. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I think for the most part, the game does a really good job of, helping you along the way. And like I had one where it's like, this is going to be a long mission. Are you sure you want to start it? I'm like, yeah, I'm down to start it. But if I had started that at, my friend, speaking of which, my friend Anthony just finished or was about to finish Death Stranding, right? The Hideo Kojima game. And one of his friends had also just played it because it just got released on Steam, so they're playing it on their awesome gaming computers. They say it looks fantastic. But he was like, hey, if you're get to this point, stop because you're about to beat the game. And if you beat the game, there's like an hour and a half long cutscene at the end. That's like watching a freaking movie.
Hour and a half?
It's an hour and a half. It's like
Jesus.
88 minutes or something like that. It's fucking crazy. So like it'd be nice to get a little warning in a game when you're like, hey, this is going to take you an hour or whatever. So you're not doing it right before bed and you think you knock it out in 5 minutes. So I do appreciate that on this game because, goddamn, that would be the worst.
And anyone who's going to pick it up if you haven't, well, I don't know why you're still listening because we just gave a lot of spoilers, but don't always follow the bird. Sometimes he leads you to some bullshit.
Yeah.
There was part, you said like, oh, it took me to this person who I've already heard this a couple of times. It did that to me a couple of times.
Yeah.
Like, oh, why did you feel this was very important?
Yeah. What the fuck's wrong with you, bird? Just shoot an arrow at it.
It's like, why did you think I needed to talk to this lady?
Yeah. I had one that would just stop by this building. I'm like, what? What are we looking at? And it's just like, I don't know. It's a cool building, right? I'm just like, fuck you, bird.
There was one, it brought me to a busted wagon. It wasn't even like full. And I was like, oh, okay, what am I missing? And then I was like, maybe I'm missing something. Put on my traveler gear, which will vibrate if you're near something. Nope, not triggering anything. I'm like bowing everywhere. Maybe I'm supposed to honor something. It's like, dude, there's nothing here.
No, this bird's just fucking high on opium or something. Just like flew through like the Mongols camp. I was like, whoa. Yeah. So, but I think I will say like, I'm okay with weird little, cause I've had ones fly into buildings and stuff, which is weird.
I've had that happen. I was like, oh, you want me to go up? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll have it get stuck or something. And I'm okay with that because I think that the mechanic of having something in game that happens like that, where it's leading you somewhere or showing you something, it's immersive and it makes the game experience more fun. So I'm okay if it doesn't work all the time and it's kind of glitchy sometimes.
Have you found a fox den without a fox?
No,
not the den. I'm sorry, but the fox shrine.
The actual shrine, like just stumbled upon it.
Yeah,
I've done that before.
I thought it was interesting that the fox shows up.
He shows up. He's like, "Hey, you beat me here."
Yeah, it's like you didn't bring me your fox. Get out of here.
Yeah, I pet them anyway. I'm like, get out of here. You know, you can pet them afterwards.
No, you can?
Yep.
Oh,
You
nice.
can pet them. And they're like, I'm like, oh, you're crazy. You're a little spirit or whatever. There's also one where Mongols are hunting the foxes.
What?
Yeah,
Bastards.
I know. You have to kill them all. You have to kill them all, burn their villages. It's a good game, man. I really enjoy it. It's just, I'm going to go home and play it more tonight. You know, it's one of those things where I'm just like, I pick it up all the time. I've been neglecting Destiny because I've just been playing.
I'm happy because I honestly thought it was not, because of the graphics were so great and amazing. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a game, but it's a long
big
game. Yeah.
I just started Act 3, and now I'm in like a snowy area. Very cool.
See,
Some
like,
bad things happen, Christian. I hope you're prepared emotionally.
I need to. I
Some
like.
real bad stuff happens.
I just started with the last warrior monk. I just started doing his side missions.
Oh, okay.
I hope nothing happens because he looks super cool. He was amazing.
He's
design.
he's almost got like the Akuma necklace, the big old balls.
Yeah.
But I think they're like herbs or something.
And he's like the only character I've seen that's using a big spear. I forgot
Yeah.
the Japanese name for it.
Nagata.
Yeah.
Naginata.
I don't.
Naginta?
See, I don't remember it.
It's something with the NG. No hard R. Naginta, please.
That was
for the league.
The league, yeah.
Naginta.
I think that was the name. I think you're right.
I think that is it. That's how I remember it.
But he's the only one with one of those. His outfit is awesome.
Yep.
Like, because most fighters you see are either going to be pre-ninjas, what which she is, or samurai, and he's the only one that looks completely different. But he's awesome. So I just started those missions.
Yeah, I think he's cool, and I would love to see, like, you know, it would be really cool if maybe in a DLC or something you can get other weapons like the Naginta or bow staff. Or,
I don't think they're going to do it, but it would be.
I don't think they would either. But like, all they would have to do is make another stance. You know what I mean? And then you instantly change over, and then yeah, man, it's so cool. And then I just got the ghost armor. That's fucking dope.
I have to do Act 3 to get that, huh?
You have to start Act 3, yeah.
I stumbled upon the faceplates, and they're
What's cool on that one is you actually have a katana on your back.
Nice.
But you don't actually use it. But it's part of the costume. Like
Okay.
it's back. You still have your.
You still draw from the front
still
like a
draw
samurai.
from the front like a samurai.
Okay.
But you have one on your back, so you technically have 3. But you don't use it.
Dual wielding would have been cool, like some of the villains.
Yeah, exactly. Dual wielding, and I think some of that stuff could be like a DLC thing because obviously there's villains who do it, right? So that mechanic is built into the game. So it wouldn't be that crazy to put a modified version onto Jin.
I love that the Mongols now started just lighting their swords on fire.
That's
kind of
a mythical ability.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool the way they do it too, because they bang it on the shield.
Yeah,
and-
like in Game of Thrones.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like the Lord of Light.
I mean, it's purely just like it just looks cool. It doesn't. I don't think it does extra damage to you or anything. But
It'll light you on fire.
oh, I don't know. I haven't been hit by one. So.
Oh yeah. If you miss a parry, it'll light you on fire. You have to roll to put it out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's fucking terrible. And then they get fire arrows later, which those are a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have those. Got the exploding ones too. I haven't used the exploding ones.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. And they do explode people. They don't work as. I've definitely had a couple that didn't work though. I'm like, well, I got a dud.
Happens. That's how good the game is. That's how
Yeah,
realistic.
exactly. It's realistic. I'm like, fuck, that one didn't even go off. God damn it.
Have you done the I know you haven't used the blowgun, but the one that makes them hallucinate.
No, I only got the original poison. I didn't get because there was another mission with her, which I haven't done yet.
That one's fun.
It's just like I feel like I could taste colors.
No, they go berserk and they start fighting themselves.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah,
I was like,
I'll unlock that one.
There were clustered, and I was like, I wonder what hallucinate does because I hadn't used it, and I was like, that's the biggest guy there.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna use it on him. He took down basically half the camp.
Wow.
So then
crazy.
I just had to take him down.
Wow. There's a fun thing too is if you come up to frog statues, you'll see them everyone. They're little frog shrines. If you bow to them, fun stuff happens. If depending on the location.
I don't think I found a frog one yet.
Yeah, they'll just be a big frog statue kind of thing. Sometimes they're at the beginning of a shrine mountain or whatever. Sometimes they're just off on their own on the beach or something. So that's a fun little thing to have. Or if you bow at dead bodies. If they're like villagers and stuff, you'll say, "I will avenge you" and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so try bowing to different people. It's pretty
What about
cool.
horses? Does it do anything?
Bowing to horses?
Yeah, dead horses.
I don't know. Probably not. Shoves an apple in their mouth.
Maybe.
He's a good boy. Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima. Check it all out. I think it's definitely worth the money, and especially now when everyone needs a little something to take up the time. There's no new movies coming out. It's nice to be able to deep dive into a video game.
I really hope on the PS5 they re-release it.
Me too.
I really hope they do.
I think it would look amazing.
Yeah. It already looks amazing.
Or the second one. If they come up with a second one.
I mean, I don't know how the game ends, but if not, I want to see more. Was it Sucker Punch? Was it?
Sucker Punch, yep.
Yeah, I definitely want to see more what they got next.
Yeah. I was very impressed. So check it out, everybody. Alrighty then. Well, I think that just about does it for us today. We'll be back next week with some more fun stuff. Make sure you check out nerdswithfriendspodcast.com. It's got all of our info there. You can buy some tea. You can visit our sponsor, FNX Fit. Get yourself some tasty workout supplements that'll help you live a healthy lifestyle while sitting at home playing video games.
Or get energized to play video games.
Or that too. Yeah, just like to snort a bunch of pre-workout and
before.
just fucking go for it.
It gets in the bloodstream faster.
Cherry lemonade. Yeah, let's go. But yeah, you can find all of our information there, as well as our Instagram, Twitter, and Facebookings. And I think that's just about it.
I think we're both going to go play some more.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I'm going to do it as soon as I get home. Well, thank you, Christian, for coming by and
it's fun nerding out.
Nerding out as we always do. And to all of our listeners out there, remember, you're not alone. You're with friends. This is Nerds with Friends. Thank you, and have a great night.